Many people mourn the loss of the old Land Rover Defender. When the new model was launched some years ago, it aimed to replicate the ethos of the old model, including its off-road abilities, but it just didn't have the same cachet as the old car, and we all know how famous that was. INEOS is a company that was founded about 10 years ago now. The interesting thing was, he wanted to build the car in Wales initially, but he was also a Brexiteer, and the implications of Brexit were that it would cost him a huge amount of money to build it in Wales. I'm Darren Walker, and this is Auto Atlantica.
Now, I should perhaps clarify that Jim Ratcliffe, who founded INEOS, founded his chemical company originally back in the late 90s, but the automotive arm of INEOS, which builds this car, was founded in 2016. The Grenadier itself was announced in 2019, and there were long-running prototypes like this particular car for a couple of years after that, until the production car debuted in 2022. In the meantime, it was announced that they had agreed with BMW to supply the powertrains. All in all, it's a combination that seems to work quite well, and the car has had a number of very favourable reviews so far. It'll be interesting to see how it fares in the States, but the traditional Land Rover Defender has an awful lot of fans here.
These have BMW mechanicals. It's offered in Europe with a BMW petrol engine and a diesel engine too. I think they're 3.5 litres. Again, I don't know a lot about these, and this is totally off the cuff, so do forgive me. Now, the US, and this is a US car, it's just been announced in the US, this car. Uses, I think it's a 3.5 litre BMW petrol engine, but there's also a 3.5 litre diesel BMW unit as well that's available in Europe. The SUV, which this one is going to be available here initially, and then the pickup truck version will also be offered. It comes in 3 or 4 different trim levels, and I can't tell you those details now off the top of my head, but let's have a look around it. If we can see it now, it's actually locked, unfortunately. But if you want to just peer in there, Tommy, see if you can sort of see inside. It's like an aircraft. You've got all these aircraft style toggles and switches up on the roof there between the seats, and then you've got more down in between the seats. Then you come around the back. The similarities to the old Land Rover are obvious, but this has some quite interesting features as well, because you can actually use these strips to attach things to. And then you've got the ladder up here. You can step on here and climb onto the top. This one's got an awning, and then here's another ladder up here. So it's very utilitarian. Actually, quite an interesting design. These ride really well, and I'm hoping that at some point we can get to ride on one of these on the channel. There's another one over here, so we'll walk over there and take a look at it.
Now, I did mention earlier that Jim Ratcliffe couldn't build the car in Wales economically, and that was a direct result of Brexit, in fact. So what he did is he had panels of the car built in Iberia, and they are then shipped to the former Smartville production facility, which INEOS bought from Mercedes-Benz. Actually, they used to build the old Smart Fortwo, for instance, at Hambach in France. So the whole thing is then assembled there for the worldwide market. Now, as far as US cars are concerned, there are 4 trim levels. There's the base, there is the station wagon, the Trial Master and the Field Master. And I suspect that the Field Master with its creature comforts is going to be the most popular in the United States. That gives you the likes of Napa leather upholstery, heated front seats, and upgraded audio system, for instance, as well, leather steering wheel, all those sort of niceties. Now, there is a distribution network that's been established for these cars in the United States so far. I don't know off the top of my head just how many there are. There is one, I think, in Philadelphia, which is probably the closest to where I am. But I think with prices ranging from $73,000 to $80,000, this is probably priced about right. And this is a true rugged off-roader. It is not meant to have luxury, modern, on-road manners at all. This is the real deal. So if that's what you're into, something that's going to cross the Badlands of South Dakota, for instance, then this is the vehicle for you. Now, this is essentially what it's designed for, that sort of outdoor camping in the wilderness.
So as you can see, it's almost aircraft-like with all these toggle switches inside. And then you've got a small screen there for the infotainment. But up here is where I think it's really cool. All these are toggle switches, very aircraft-like in the top, and the more options that you spec, the more buttons you get up here as well. It's very cool. I'll bring up on the screen as to what the transmission is, but I think it's the same ZF unit it's in the BMW, but I will check on that. In the back, plenty of room in here. The seats designed so you can get your knees in there. Absolutely fantastic and so utilitarian. I've got the build sheet here for the long wheelbase station wagon that this one is, and this weighs in. There's no options on this particular car, and it weighs in at $79,300 all in for this particular specification, plus $1,600 destination delivery, so total price is $80,900. These are imported into Malvern in Pennsylvania, actually, so not too far away. Very, very cool. First INEOS Grenadier that I've seen in this country. And so that's it from me with the just a brief look round of the INEOS Grenadier. I'm Darren Walker, and this is Auto Atlantica.